CANCARDIRADIO. Rasbashai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Rasbashai.
Anglican Advent Mission 2025 at the St. George's Cathedral on Sunday 30th November at 9:30 a.m. under the theme, The Church at the Crossroads, Inspiring Rebirth, Commitment and Community through Creative and Authentic Ministry. The preacher, Father Aaron Charles, rector of the parish of St. Christopher, High Street, Siparia, Trinidad and Tobago. The afternoon session features the youth in drama, dance and poetry from 2 p.m. You are invited to join us as we celebrate Advent to mark the beginning of the church's year at the St. George's Cathedral on Sunday the 30th November at 9:30 a.m. See you there.
It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Cancardi Radio. Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bayhill Tree Bar, located at Bayhill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell Shell 20 pounds of cooking gas at the Bayhill Tree Bar.
Traveling to St. Vincent, need to get around? Crystal Connection Car Rental, telephone 1784-529-9120 or email crystaldaniel91@gmail.com. Book your economy rental car today.
Join your host, Rasbashai, for Stepping into the Light at Bayhill Online Radio and Cancardi Radio. Rasbashai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Rasbashai.
Movement of the people.
Greetings, welcome to the 40th program for 2025 of Stepping into the Light with host Ras Bishai at Bayhill Radio and CANCARDIRADIO Radio, Tuesday, 25th November 2025. It's the 197th program in total since we started the first day of 2021. Yes, that was New Year's Day 2021, according to the calendar that is used now. Yes, that was our theme song, Exodus by Bob Marley, because right now as we speak, people are making the exodus out of this evil political system and this evil leadership system. Rulership, not leadership. It was leadership, people would have been in a much better position. And right now, as we speak, people are actually going towards the Camden Park playing field. Yes, Campton has to be a part of the history. Must be always been. Where there's a big rally tonight by the people and the NDP party. Because the people are the ones who are carrying the vibes in this time. The NDP party is the political organization representing them, their wishes. Yes, movement of their people, exodus, taking place as we speak. So Mahatotep to all listening and all following this program worldwide. It's good to be here with you again for another program. And we know that tonight's program will be very informative, very, very informative. You get the kind of real, truth, informative news here that you don't get on other stations. That is why you have to keep locked on, particularly on a Tuesday night, to Bayhill Radio and CANCARDIRADIO Radio. So link up your friends, your family, loved ones, your acquaintances, and invite them to listen to tonight's program. Yes, we know that a lot of our listeners would want to go on the way. Some called me before to go to this rally. So you will get the recordings, the YouTube recordings. But as many as who could listen tonight, especially those in a different time zone, you do so. Okay? Yes. As I give ISIS to the Most High creators and hail up I and I ancestors. I to I. Glory to the word, glory to the song, and glory to the power of the Most High. Yah Rastafari. Almighty creators of this universe, and I give thanks for your love, for your care, and for your guidance throughout the time, and for bringing I here for another program. Keep shining that light into I paths, as I go stepping into the light and onto Mount Zion. Rises. Blessed be the irates of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, and Her Imperial Majesty, Empress Menen, one perfect balance. Blissful be the irates of our ancestors, the Neteru, which walk alongside I always, keeping I feet from slipping and falling, I hands from pilfering and stealing, and I mouths from slander and idle speaking. And I calling the goddess Mat and the 42 divine ones from creation to keep all I people firmly on the 7 basic principles of truth, order, balance, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Give I and I life over that, light over darkness, mind over matter, and good over evil every time. Ashe. Yes, people, if it were not for certain people and certain groupings, we would not be here doing this program. So we have to say thanks to the owners and operators of Bayhill Radio and those of CANCARDIRADIO Radio. Thanks also to the sponsors of this program. And thanks to the listeners and to the viewers of this program. You make it a reality. Yes. So what are the happenings tonight? Tonight we're going to be very focused because we are into the final over, the final minutes of this game, of this match, of this historic change, of the people waking up and calling for something different, particularly the youths. And that cannot be denied. The great majority of people in this country are calling for that. And even the great majority of those who reside outside this country are calling for that, because a lot of what is keeping this country together right now is the remittances from the people outside. Yes, that is a massive part of what the people live on in this time. And you will see why. Yeah, so we're going to look at the weather, right? And then we're going to look at some very important agricultural information, which you all should know and consider, especially in this week of voting. We're going to look at our biodynamic gardening, planting by the moon phase guide, right? And we will look at what we need as the people to truly improve the agricultural pillar of this economy. Okay? So those are the things we're going to look at. Those are the basic things we're going to look at. Everything is going to be focused on these things. So right now, the weather is smiling on I and I, the people. Yes, whatever rain was to come today, most of it has come already. And I know that the rest of it would not come until after this rally. That is how the mystic is working in this time. Not that the rain would stop the rally, but that is just the mystic, the vibration being sent out, they're being positive, giving the people a chance to intermingle and closer together, and form a oneness and get the collective vibe. Yes, and through the unity, because unity is strength, and get the vibe going and send that positive message out. But the weather generally has been excellent for farming, for the agricultural sector. So right now the people are doing their thing because there is no national plan to do anything constructive. Right? So people are within their little communities and within their little selves
doing what best they can do. Big up to all the farmers who have been there struggling for decades without any state help in any way. In my area here in Campton, big up to the farmers in York Mountain in particular. Those few who still up in High Woods, big up to the brethren in Lowman's Hill area and so on. Big up to those people who have their little home gardens. Big up to the people in Chauncey and Kittels. Big up to the people in the Vermont Valley. And big up to all those people all over SVG, the leeward side, still holding a vibe and making use of the weather. Because that is the best thing happening right now. We have adequate amount of rainfall and we still have good amount of sunlight to make the agriculture work. And big up to all the people, especially my brethren and sisters who have moved away from the chemical farming of the Babylon system into a natural farming. Big up to people like Kuchi, the other brethren and so. Big up to Ras Ivan, these kind of brethren and so on. Massive big up. Okay? Now all the sisters. Big up to the people in Greg's. Coming at you, coming for you, coming with you. Soon after we make this step, the people make this step out of Babylon in a few days, several hours time. Yes, must come out of Babylon. There's nothing there for I in Babylon right now. Nothing. This is a new earth, new world, new vibration. Yes. So that is the time and people are making use of it. Yes. And you will see why people have to make use of it from the information you're going to get tonight. It's not the information about the whole sector because that will take a couple of days, but the basic things that what you have to really think about right now. We can't give you too much information overload. Right now, the serious things you have to think about for those few who have not made up their minds to do what they're supposed to do on Thursday. To step out of the darkness and step into the light. You have to keep stepping into the light. Start stepping into the light. Step out of Babylon. Leave Babylon. Yes. So, that is very important. Let me give you some agricultural data now as to what has taken place basically in our economy, the major shifts that have been made in our economy since the year 2000, the end of the year 2000, and the beginning of the year 2001. Remember, I told you in the past that the decision to shift countries like ours, those in the EU, OECS in particular, and ACP countries who were justly getting their justice from their former colonial masters. In many cases, in this case, Great Britain, as they call it, to get a well-owned market space in those countries for certain commodities as part of the reparations of the unjust period of slavery. That was what the kind of reparation we need, in-kind reparations. Not reparations where they send money to corrupt governments and in a few years it's gone. These reparations created a space for countries which grew bananas on one hand and countries that grew sugar cane. African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. Anyway, we got to go fast because we want to finish this program in order to take in a lot of the good vibes tonight. So that market was created in that time. And then in the time of Reagan and Thatcher, who were the two key representatives of the darkness, they switched it and instructed countries like ours to move from agriculture to tourism. And the kind of tourism they're talking about was sea and sand and so on, big tourism. where the owners of the tourism infrastructure and the whole tourism marketing was still the owners, the people who were benefiting from the slave trade and from the colonialism after. So the ownership of the economy still remained mainly external. That's the first point I want to make, right? Okay, now, so in they started that in 2019, in 1980s, late 1980s, early 1990s. So by the time our government at the time implemented it, and we start going downhill, we moved from making $17.50, this country here, from every $100 owned in this country a year. Every time this country owned $100 in the year 1990 and a little before, $17.50 of that was owned by the agricultural exports, went to the agricultural sector at the base. Okay? 17.5%. By the time it reached 200, the year 200, it was down to $5.59 from the same $100. Moved from $17.50 to $5.59. And the people then decided they wanted a change because of a big drop, and people start feeling it in the pocket. And that money was going to the sector that spends the most, and to the sector that has the most, what they call multiplier effect. The money has the most multiplier effect. Okay? So people start feeling the pinch, and they rightly call for a change. So the change came in the end of the year, well, at the beginning of the year 2001. So what has happened since then? How have we fared since then? And because from 2001 till now, only is the other party, one right now, that has been in office, calling itself the ULP government, has been in office. Okay. So what is the position? First thing I want to give you is the agricultural GDP, gross domestic product, for that period. Okay? And show you how it went from when they came in, $5.59 or 5.59% out of every $100, okay, to where it is today. It went by the year 2005, which was the first 5 years, it went down to $3.05 from every $100. They came in supposedly to do better because the people wanted a change. So they said they're going to switch the economy from agriculture to tourism following the orders from outside. And they came up with the term agriculture is a thing of the past. By 2010, which was the second 5-year term, it was hovering around $2.04 out of every $100. It went from $3.05 to $2.04. No pressure again. Okay? By 2015, it was the third rung. That's another 5-year period. It went down to $1.27 from every $100. So the agriculture sector, which includes a lot of people, not just farming families, but workers who work with them, people who sell them input, people who transport their product inland, people who transport their product over the seas, right? That's the direct people. People who credit them things to sell things to them like food shops and so on, the rural economy. All these people benefit. The stevedots, all these people benefit from agriculture. So the less money you have in the sector is the less money all these people going to be making, right? Now, you will ask, how come this thing going down, down, down every election season, and still the same governance is in place? Although the people feel in the pinch. Well, maybe the people didn't know, but that's a question to be answered in another session. By 2019, I have to mention 2019 because 2019 is a very important juncture here. And I will give you the reason why just now. It was down from $1.27 in every $100, down again, to less than half of that, to 57 cents now in every $100. That is what the agriculture sector is getting. Contributed to what they call the gross domestic product for the year, GDP. These terms are things they're supposed to be teaching in the primary school, not even when you reach secondary school. Second half of the primary school, everybody should understand and understand what these terms mean, right? Right. So 57 cents was now made, where when it started in 2000, $5.59 was made. Now it's 57 cents. In 2020, the year when we had the COVID, it went down a bit to 55 cents. They will blame that on COVID. Okay? And at the end of last year, with all the noise you hear they're making right now, at the end of last year, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? It went down by more than 50% again. These are the same people who are telling you look to the future and making noise and all kind of thing. It's now 26 cents out of every $100 that comes into this country comes from agriculture export earnings. So you could say the agriculture ain't doing nothing, basically. We're selling anything anyway to talk about. Okay? So that is what was happening at that time in terms of the money coming in from exports, real money. Now, the pressures you see in the rural areas is because that money which used to come to the farmers have gone, disappeared. If I could put it in another way, let me show you what was happening in terms of the agricultural earnings. The agricultural earnings, export earnings. In 1990, which was the year that this philosophy was first floated on the people, this country made over 4 million EC dollars a week from agricultural earnings. I'm speaking particularly to the younger people who wouldn't know that. But the people who are here, even though you were under 12 years old and you didn't understand, or even 15, at the time, you would remember $4 million at least, a little over $4 million a week came into this country from agriculture export earnings. And when that came in a week and went through our economy, that had tremendous effects. Everybody could have eaten food or do something, right? Utility bills paid and all these kind of things. We could have paid for the food that we import because we had to import certain basic things which could grow mainly in temperate countries and other things which are industrialized in a way which we do not have as yet the capacity to industrialize. So you could understand and understand that. Okay? Right. By the year 2000, it had gone down. The weekly earnings had gone down to 52. It went down from $213 million to $52,825,000. which was about just over $1 million a week. Right? That was the $5.59 out of the $100. By 2005, first year, the first 5 years of these people who jumping up, they're jumping up, but the economy, the agricultural economy is going down. It went down to 47.5 million, which is $915,351 a week. That's the first period when we made less than $1,000 a week from agricultural $1 million a week where it is from agricultural export earnings. The land ain't rot, lot ain't gone anyway, but we drop in because the system set for it to drop. By 2010, which was the next election cycle, it went down further to $708,625 a week. So just down this thing going all the time, you know. Sold just about $37 million worth of agricultural exports a year. By 2015, down the road again to $525,139 a week. Okay? Pressure, more pressure on the people. More pressure. See, they want another 5 years. Now, in 2015, well, I should say, let me go through them first, and then I'll tell you what happened in 2015 and what happened even before that in 2006. By 2019, I have to mention that year, because that was the year when CARICOM, the regional organization of which St. Vincent is a member, long-standing member, took a decision, a collective decision, to cut the regional food import bill, because they saw it was ridiculous, by 25% by the year 2025. The annual, cut it by 25% by 2025, okay? So in 2019, it went down to $269,325 a week. From 525 to 269. Okay? Which was 57 cents for every $100. 57 cents out of every $100. And 2020, it went further down to $13 million, which was $257,180 a week. That is where it was. And then now, at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, because we have not got this year's figures yet. This year, the jump up here. That is when you will notice, you will hear the figures, you will know, well, what these people jumping up for. But you will find out why they're jumping up. Because why most people starving and under pressure, a few are bloating it up. Because what they did is switch the whole economic system for a few to float and the majority to sink. And that is why the people are out there now stepping out of Babylon, because Babylon have you sinking. Yes, our export earnings went down to $8,143,000, which was only $156,600 a week. So here we are now making 26 cents out of every $100 that comes into this country. 26 cents. That is where we are. That is where we are. So you see the pressure when you go into the Kingston, every day looks the same. The pace of the economy because there is no spending power among the majority of people. And when you go through the country, you see why, because the main crops out there are like trumpet bush and elephant grass and pudding vine and these kind of things. Not because people want it to be so, but because that is how it is. The people are not being financed, are not being allowed to organize themselves, are not being empowered, are not given the right information, are not being governed, are not being led, but being ruled and maneuvered and bulldozed into this economic system which brings income and wealth to the few, but brings suffering and poverty to the many and dependency. Okay? That's just one part of it, the earnings. But here what happened now? Here the other side of it now. Because a double whammy. It is a double whammy. Our food import bill, while we exporting less, and the building of what they call a tourism, nothing is wrong with tourism, but it's the way they're building it, the tourism sector, and they're not linking it with anything. Never mind the chat you hear now. That is just to try and attract votes. That's what they call political science, political strategy. Through political strategy, they keep us hungry. And when we try to get some food, your brother and your sister become your enemy. Hear what happened now? From the period, well, before I go into that, let me tell you why I mentioned those years. In 2006, this administration received 10 million euros from the European Union. The euro was $3.30 easy. That's $33 million to put into an agricultural diversification program for the people of this country because of the loss of the banana and other things marketing income in Britain. Because you know, and I know, all the bananas who were around at the time and who follow the data would know bananas were the major crop exported. We used to send other things to England, including dasheen. Same dasheen they're running up now, like if Columbus now discover something. We send containers of dasheen to England and to France. Okay? And they were independent farmers, exporters who sent other things. Other things on the same geese boat because that provided the transportation line. So it wasn't just bananas. Bananas are the major crop, yes. So that money in 2006 was to assist the farmers of this country who had applied, especially in groupings at the time, because yours truly was in a grouping with some other farmers, and we applied, and while our application was being processed by the people in Barbados and being approved by them, certain thing happened, breach of the regulations, and when you look at it from a professional level, it looked like a deliberate breach. So that the project closed off 2 years before it went anywhere. Closed off in 2009. It was supposed to go for 2000 to 2011, 5 years, 2006, 2011. So over 40 odd projects which had been approved were cancelled because the people said no more money would be given. So that diversification did not take place. Right? And then in 2013, 2014, another project called Banana Adjustment Measures, BAM. Same 10 million euros, again, based on what the people said they wanted, was allocated to this country. This is donor money. But the system took it over and decided use their people, manipulated the people and women manipulated the people to get them to say where they wanted these things. And this is a project that was supposed to establish the greenhouse parks specifically to produce quality seedlings, particularly vegetable seedlings to farmers, to reduce our food import bill and to expand our capacity to satisfy the local market and the regional market at least. So keep those dates in mind. So here we go now. And that project was finished in 2019, officially handed over. Supposed to start functioning from 2019. So that is why I give you the data for 2019, the earnings, and 2020. Okay? So the earnings now, the import bill, I'm giving you now, for the period 2011 to 2020, although all this was happening to cut back the imports, average 200 million EC dollars a year. That is what we paid for food coming into the country. So we're losing money by food exported to money coming in. And we're spending more money outside to import food. Okay? By 2020, to 2024, that food import bill had moved from $200 million, you see, to $292,725,108. So it moved from $3,846,153 a week. See, $3,846,000 a week. Let me leave off the thing, right? To $5,629,000 a week. That's what we're paying for food imports. And remember, all this time, our tourism sector going up. So the more tourists come in to the system, based on how the system set up, is the more food we import to feed these people. And when you look at also that the value of some of the foods went up, the cost per weight, then you know what happened. We're in trouble. So we have a trade deficit between 2020, which was the last election date, and the end of last year, which was 4 years after, going to the 5th year of election year, of $92,725,108. That is what the trade deficit, the difference between what we pay for food coming in and what we get from food going out. We're owing, as you say in top, almost $93 million, which is like $1,783,000 a week. You see how Catman, you see why the Catman in town are active? You see why the boats that leave in here to go different places is only a few going now? You see why all the traffickers, all the number of vendors just line up on the streets all over the place? Because when you combine that with the fact that the marketing corporation disappeared in 2007, they are nowhere to sell the food collectively. And the depots have been closed for, you know when. Some of them now come headquarters for blocks making and all them things according to the information. Right? And the fish markets now storing lumber and all them things. You see where we are in this place. You see where we are. You see how far down in Babylon the system is. So if you want to study, that is your choice. But I know the majority of people, especially in Camptown, they live in Babylon and they stepping into the light. Because Camptown massive, you know. Okay? So between 2011 and 2020, that 10 years, If you just average $200 million a year, you see, we have a trade deficit there. We lost $2 billion, $2 billion in trade in that period of time. Just if we were to keep these things stagnant, that is what you see lacking in our economy here. Now, I want to give you some specific areas of importation, which impinge a lot on what has been said, promised, what is being said, and the reality. Remember, I spoke about vegetables. And I must also tell you that in the second project, the last project, the BAM project, which started in 2014 and officially financing ended in 2019, it will start fully operational in 2019, 2020. There are two areas which that was according to the needs of the farmers and the express desire of the farmers of what that was to fulfill. One was the production, the increased production of vegetable and fruit seedlings. Massive increase. Okay? That's why they call them greenhouse parks. And the second one was the establishment of an up-to-date modern abattoir. That I can tell you from first hand, not second hand, because I was part of the grouping that went to select the site, seaside, a diamond which mysteriously disappeared not long after. Time and money was sent to look at the site, to send people to Grenada and to send kids to look at their models. Yes, hold on a while, please. To send people both to St. Kitts and Grenada to look at their models of the abattoir and to recommend what we do from here. And that recommendation was made. And that recommendation said that it would cost us $3 million EC to establish a modern abattoir at Diamond, and we would have to put up the first million. And when the request was made officially, the government, through the Minister and Ministry of Agriculture, it was said that World Boss says no, he not putting up any $1 million. And not a man say indifference. So that went by the wayside. That went by the wayside, and we never had an abattoir. And we started increasingly selling our ruminant animals to butchers in Grenada, who would fatten them for 6 weeks and then sell them as grass-fed meat for over $13 a pound. Yes. So I'm going to give you some data on both vegetables and fruits to show you the folly of what happened. Okay? So here we go. The import costs of vegetables and fruit from 2012 to 2015. Okay? $19 million a year, totaling about $95 million for the period. That is vegetables and fruit imported into this country, you know. Most of which, especially vegetables, we can grow here. Some of the fruits that we could have grown here and which experiments were done here, like grapes, by the Taiwan, is that technology was never really given to our farmers? Now was it finance to our farmers? So we're not growing any grapes in any quantity to talk about, okay? But other things like apples and so on, we import those things. And other things which we should be growing here, which we will be growing here in the future, like blueberries, we will be growing them here. At the same time, they were denying our fruits expansion and exports, they were also destroying our local fruits. We'll go into that at another time. By 2020, between 2015 and 2020, the food import cost per year went up to $23 million from 19 to 23. And this is the same administration that has been returning to governance as the city data shows. Now, when you look at this, you have to, anybody from outside will think that we have a majority of mentally retarded people in this country. To be supporting this downward movement in agriculture, this drastic downward movement in agriculture, and this drastic upward movement in poverty and malnutrition, something had to be wrong with our people. By 2023, you think it's up it should go? It gone down again. It should go gone up from $23 million to $28 million. And this is after the greenhouse parks were established, because they would have been established by 2020. So for the last period of time which you're talking about, instead of coming now and having data to show the people where this facility has made, as they claim at the time it would do, they say it would be a game changer for the positive. Made a game change from our importation bill to our exportation bill. The reverse has happened. Okay? The reverse has happened. So we move from $346,000 a week importing vegetables and fruits to $538,000 a week importing vegetables and fruits, when we had big projects, funding projects, grant projects, to put into place facilities and infrastructure to get this reduced. Here we are. Here we are. So I had to give you those figures. The last one I will give you now is that of meat and meat preparation. Now, I will give the fishermen, you know what is happening. So if you don't know anything about fish in this part of the program, don't feel anyway. You know and we know what is happening. I'm talking about meat because it relates now to the abattoir. In 2012, we imported $49,700,000 worth of meat and meat preparations. In 2015, it went down to $46,500,000. By 2020, it went up again to $49,400,000. So they're right up now to where they were by 2012. By 2022, remember what is happening between 2020 and 2022 in the tourism sector? We have an increased tourism investment. I'm saying nothing is wrong with tourism investment per se. But if the tourism investment, the ownership is 99 or in some cases 100% foreign, and the money that comes in is controlled by a very few people, you have very little spread in that money. So the majority of the people would not benefit from it. All you see is people passing around and you're hearing things, but the dollar ain't reaching you. So by 2022, it was $73 million of meat and meat preparations imported, because now you're bringing in meat and meat preparations, a lot of which should have been done right here. Right here. You're bringing it in now to feed the guests. And at the end of 2023, which is the latest data we have about $68 million. Now, when you take into consideration that no agricultural census has been done for the time, so none of them could tell you how many heads of sheep, goat, cattle, pigs, or poultry we have in the country. Very few. Poultry should be easy to assess. But the other animals, they don't know, right? It's very hard for you out there without these figures to see exactly what is happening. But all you know is that among the annual value for the meat and meat preparations imported has gone up tremendously. So between 2020 and 2023 alone, we have had an annual increase of over $18 million in the importation of meat and meat products. When that abattoir, which should have been here, we've encouraged farmers and the investment sector to invest in livestock production, train our people who are now talking about in abattoir and all these kind of thing management, value added, right? Link the hotels into buying. This is a long time. These things should have been in place. They're just talking about them. To buying most of the meat, if not all of the meat here, because we could produce a quality meat in terms of grass fed. Okay? We didn't do these things. So here we are not doing them. So when I explain this to the people, especially youth of Campton, that's why I love these youth so. You see me shy? We shy boy? This thing ain't working. And what they told me, song number 1, please. Song number 1. Calling for song number 1 on the program. That's what they told me. Yes, the children say, Michelle, you got work to do. I said, sure, you do the work. So right now, what we're going to do, because we have lots of work to do, is to go to the studio, the station, get the station ID, get the word from our loving sponsors, and we come forward and finish this program so that you can have the rest of the time to go and join up that rally, which is supposed to be starting soon.
You can make your donation to Bayhill News Network care of Montgomery Cubit Bayhill Cane Garden Republic Bank account 200-00011 6899 PayPal https://paypal.me/Bayhill Newsnet or Western Union /MoneyGram Montgomery Cubit Bayhill Cane Garden telephone 1784-529-8340. Thank you.
It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Cancardi Radio.
Traveling to St. Vincent? Need to get around? Crystal Connection Car Rental telephone 1784-529-9120 or email crystaldaniel91@gmail.com. Book your economy rental car today.
Bayhill News Network presents Inside Health, 30-minute program in which we explore the human body and functions. We'll share real-life stories and the latest in medical science as we look at related diseases, conditions, and determinants of health that affect quality of life. So join me, Vin Abbott, on Wednesday evenings from 8:30 for Inside Health on Bayhill News Net, also on CANCARDIRADIO.INFO. Welcome, Belou, bienvenue. Welcome to Island Star Souvenir and Clothing Store. We carry everything you need in souvenirs, t-shirts in all sizes, caps, keyrings, and chains, blocks, magnets, banners, ID holders, mugs. Yes, we carry the national flag of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That's not all. We have Hawaiian style t-shirts and dresses, handbags with matching scarves, tie-dye dresses, tops, and shirts. Everything is made right here in SVG. So come on over. Check us out. We are located in the cruise ship berth, Kingstown. We are island style.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping into the Light at Bayhill Online Radio and Cancardi Radio. Ross Bishai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Ross Bishai.
Yes, here we are. Here we are. Just giving you a synopsis of where we are. Why is this pressure we are feeling? Why has it come on us? What is the source of it? What is the root of it? Now you see exactly. Anytime any grouping of people call themselves government in a country like this, which is gifted and created with the best soils in the West, excellent climate. You know, if you plant, as the old people say in Iman time growing up, if you plant a stone, it will grow. And where the wealth of the people, the rural people in particular, especially when we used to use the term leeward and windward, made their living from, their liberty, their wealth from ever since, historically. And you close that down as a major pillar of your economy. Your house weak. And that is exactly what's happening. The dollars dry up. Nothing happening in town. 15 times more sellers than buyers. And most of what they're selling is something imported. And a lot of it is unhealthy. Unhealthy. Having our people in that area. Okay? So, right now, what I'm going to do is to give the little information to the people who look for this information every week in terms of what to plant at this particular phase of the moon. And then we'll get on to the rest of the program. to show you what we have to do going forward. So the biodynamic gardening and planting by the moon phase guide for the period Wednesday the 5th November, not Wednesday the 5th November rather, Wednesday the 26th November to Tuesday the 2nd of December going forward. That is what I'm going to give you now, right? Yes. Tuesday the 2nd December. Next program in December already. You see how fast this calendar is moving and the time is moving? We are now into the waxing crescent phase of the moon. The moon was new several days ago by the last program. The moon was new. It's now waxing crescent. You're seeing the moon right away from I am here. I'm seeing the moon, quarter moon, right? Coming up to quarter moon. And you have 3 days left in this phase. Well, 2 days, and then the first quarter, and then it's going to another phase. So above ground short crops, especially leaf plants, yes, getting your lettuce and your arugula and your celery and your parsley and your broccoli and your cauliflower, but also your corn, your herbs, all the seasoning herbs, and your cucumbers. Those are the main things that benefit from this particular phase. Mow your lawns, you graft and prune. And I was passing over the road several hours ago today, and I saw some sidewalks being mowed, garden to garden. Good time, good time. And being pruned also, flowers being pruned. So that will hold well for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the first quarter. Okay? And then on Saturday now, which will be the first Saturday of the new system in this country, yes, by the will of the Most High. The first Saturday of the lack of darkness and the appearance of the light in terms of governance. For a long time we've been in the darkness. It will be the waxing gibbous phase of the moon. And that is when you can plant your above ground short crops, but this time especially fruit plants. And we want to start this new first year of the new period by really planting some fruit plants to improve on the data I just give you there, to cut the importation of all those fruits you talk about, right? Use the couple days left in this phase to plant vegetables to reduce the importation, and use from Saturday coming, that week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and the other few days, to plant fruits and fruit plants and flowers and corn. So, ganja man, this is the time for you to put in that crop. This could be a second to last crop for the year, calendar year, right? Because basically you don't really want to catch any spring. So you see, from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that whole week going up there, particularly Saturday, when you not even just don't have the phase, but you also have the flower sign Aquarius, followed by Pisces, the leaf sign. That is the ideal time to set up your seeds. Okay? Because we have our local and regional market to recapture, to take over, and to get the poison that is being sold now to a lot of the youths out of the system, and give them clean food and clean herb. And also our fruit plants, our sweet peppers, vegetables again still, tomatoes, all these things that are imported. Someone told me that red cabbage selling here at nearly $18 a pound. And we wasting time importing these things when people here of all ages, of all trainings, of all disciplines could start something, and if they work even better collectively, could really, really make a dollar when the week come, when the day come, as some people used to say. So I would just encourage you to use the land, to plant up the land. Plant up the land. Yes.
Some try lead you astray. Seek wisdom from today, my friend. My friend, they're crying food shortage, and things are getting dread in the rain. Yeah, hey, hey. Don't let it get in your head. Man, don't only live by bread, but by the word. That's what he says. Put on your armor, trot along. Become a farmer, plant up all the land. Don't let time go to waste. Every day make a way. Grow food and garden. Plant cassava, green banana, mango, pawpaw, and sweet potato. Sour, turmeric, herbs, ginger, moringa, corn and breadfruit, shadow, berry, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. And as the plants they grow, we grow in same way. New mercies, fresh every day, with time, sun and rain and energy. The plants they will thrive, and we shall reap the bounty. Don't be a slave to the system. Renew your mind daily. Plant cassava, green banana, mango, pawpaw, and sweet potato. Sour, turmeric, herbs, ginger, moringa, corn and breadfruit, shadow, berry, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. We want coconut water, beautiful sunflowers, hibiscus tea and some cerceas, please. Planting tomato, berries many colors, watermelon, sweet pepper, cherry and guava. The guava, the guava. Plant cassava, green banana, mango, pawpaw, and sweet potato. Sour, turmeric, herbs, ginger, moringa, corn and breadfruit, shadow, berry, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper.
Yes. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. Now, when we look at the agricultural sector and what is really needed, And what the people are not getting, and that is why the people are up and making themselves heard, which is quite right and forcefully so. I want to big up the people of North Leeward, those who have refused to be bribed, refused. You know how massive that is, massive, massive. People everywhere, but particularly those people, because they have come under tremendous pressure. And where you should be now, when you look at that vegetable import bill a year, most of those things could be grown in North Leeward if it's one area could pick it out. Because you historically have shown between the late 60s and the early 1990s, you produce up to 40% of all the fresh vegetables in this country. Yes, you have a record, and it's just because of the political system at the time, never mind who was in charge. The system coming from outside mash us up. But right now, I say we're stepping out of Babylon, making that exodus, and we're stepping into the light, and we're changing everything. Okay? So here what happened now. The major agricultural needs going forward. We're going to look at them, and we're going to say, we're going to look at what has been proposed or has not been proposed, if any, by both sides. And we're going to see clearly where we're going from here. Right? But before we do that, we got to clear the air. We got to clear the air. So I'm asking for the third song. Come, we go mash them down. Yes, we're moving all stumbling blocks. So I'm going to tell you where we have to go, but we have to spiritually move all stumbling blocks first before we could go there. Stumbling blocks, mash them down. Mash them down, my brother.
Just like in the holidays, jump off the pagan head and let it roll away. Listen to what I got to say. Praise the king every day. Come back, we go mash them down and loose. All them are rinse and a brown. Stumbling blocks will have to move. Come, we go mash them down, can't lose. Oh, deal with them rust because of who them come approve me. I mash them down and loose. All them are rinse and a brown. Stumbling blocks will have to move. Come, we go mash them down and loose. Calonji come from mash them down and loose. Listen up, let the children I say to honor your mother and your father. Tell you again, I say to love you one another. Praise the last I crown. In Addis Ababa, 2nd of November 1930. Java. Hey, from the wicked, me dash the atta lava. Big up the ghetto girl, a Kingston and Balaclava. Mama used to give we dumpling, make out a cassava. Yo, you got the riches, you must share what you have. Farmer from the food and stop the people them from starving. Yo, Jalido cities rather than with his stuff. Hard paid and me know them must get cut off. Babylon them red get shut off. Come what we go mash them down and lose. All them are rinse and a brown stumbling block will have to move. Come we go mash them down and lose. Why not? Say approve them approve. Wicked people we are go mash them down and lose. Conquering lion. Obstacles him come and move. Come we go mash them down and lose. Babylon we mash them down. Ah, burn them plan and them plot and them strategies. Burn them up them computers and them cartridges. Lion in the jungle, I'm gonna bust them categories. This one I say are them end up in a worries. Mash them down and loose. Deal with them rust because of who them come approve. Come let me go mash them down and loose. Babylon I mash them down. Oh, speak the truth and know your roots, that's reality. Yo, just listen to my tune in full of quality. Children, Emperor Selassie is the Almighty. More morality. No more, no more. Where black people them stifle. When them a shot the people, them a kill them with poison. Can't tell me none, me see the conquering lion in the Bible. Babylon we come to mash them down. them down, no lose. Deal with them rats because the proof them come approve. Come make we go mash them down, no lose. All them are rich and a frown. Some the blacks will have to move. Come we go mash them down, no lose. Babylon we mash them down. Can't diss the Rastaman because him on his foundation rigid. Love and righteousness is it we use govern the village. All them are going like them bad and them wicked. King Selassie govern the earth, so don't be stupid. Come we mash them down, no lose. All them are rings and a brown righteousness we choose. Come we go mash them down, we can't lose. Prove them approve, get a youth one clothes and shoes and food. Mash them down. Hey Babylon, I tell you that I mash them down. Hey, little children, I say to honor your mother and your father. Tell them again, love you one another. Praise Selassie, I am grown in Addis Ababa. 2nd of November 1930, Jaja Java. I'ma keep them dumpling, make out a cassava. Big up the ghetto girl, Africa and Balaclava. Whoa, farmer plant the food and stop us from starving.
Yeah, and we gonna mash them down with the foolishness. When I say eat a cassava dumpling, a bitty dumpling, can't find them things right now. Can't find them things right now. Most of the youth team no names so. You ask them about some triplets like ramen and thing, and they will tell you that just yesterday they too. But if you check it out right now, you find that that is one of the foods that is causing obesity and diabetes. Anyway, we talk about those things on another program. Here what happening now? Some of the things I told you last week, you'll have to go and read them for yourself because by now you should be getting a copy to get it online if you need of both manifestos and look at the agricultural things. I just want to highlight a couple of things here that from each one that don't really mesh. Right here, what happened now here? From the ULP manifesto, what we have done. One, constructed the Montreal greenhouse park to improve vegetable yields. Now, from the information I gave you there, you can see that this is a total, in terms of what it's supposed to do, is a total no-no. Total no-no. Instead of the vegetable production and yields go up, the importation is what went up, and they go down. So, 5 years at least, nothing happened with this thing here. And nobody can supposed to come now and papa guy, mama guy, or uncle guy you a week about what they're going to do going forward. Like they're trying to say, own the future. How you going to own the future when you have no stake in the present? Huh? That is not even maths. The only science that could be is political science, which is total nonsense against black people trying to keep I and I down. So hear what happened now? They go back and they say, establish a medicinal cannabis authority and industry supporting the Rastafari community, traditional cultivators, and new producers. That ain't happened. Yeah, the authority established, but those things ain't happened yet. Ain't happened yet. And that is one of the areas where the data shows that in the 90s, up to $1.5 million a week used to come into this country from marijuana exports. And you know who that used to go to mainly? The rural people. So since that market has disappeared from them, you see how the rural areas get tough and hard and dry up? And you're still going and knocking on people do all hours of the night and the morning and the evening and whatever to see if you could entice and inveigle people to come and give you political support again. No. People have to stand up on dignity. And if poor people have to own the future going forward, they have to have a stake in the present. They have no stake, no involvement in any decision making. Not even the top civil servants have any involvement in any decision making. They just follow orders. And a lot of the orders are against their training, their knowledge, and their morality. So with this freedom, this change that is coming, not if, never mind what happened. This already sealed up spiritually. Fighting against it, just fighting in vain. They know it, but they have to fight because that is the destiny. This liberation that is coming on Thursday, coming with this waxing crescent moon in this phase, is not just for those who say the thing is for a lot of people who supported them up to now, still supporting them. That pressure coming on for you not to be a slave again, but to free yourself from mental slavery and to work now for genuine unity and oneness and collective security to lift our country forward with the potential it has, all the potentials, all the potentials. Look, we're making 26 cents out of every $100 that come in this country. $0.01 would be 1%, called 100 cents in a dollar. 36 cents every $1,000, I should say. $100 every $1,000, 0.26%. Out of every $1,000 for agriculture, making 26 cents, not every $100 for it. So there, yes. So if that is the base, supposed to be one of the pillars of your economy, and that is what you contribute in, that base ain't good. The house must lean somewhere. Less. You ain't got the levels right. Not getting the levels right. So here what happening now? These are some of the things you say. Implemented $27 million, implemented a $27 million program of production supports and inputs in 2024-2025 to improve livestock quality, fish landings, greenhouse production, and farming implements. When you already implemented something long before that for the same thing, you just changing the date, and nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. So here what happened. Here is what people need going forward. Here what we need going forward. And these are some of the things that the other side is saying that we have to do. Right here, the thing we need going forward now. We need a national agricultural census immediately and every 10 years after. So from this weekend going forward, we have to have one within 12 months. Must. And then every 10 years, we have another one because that is the benchmark. That is like the stock taking to see where we are and to be able to see where we're going as a people. That is the international recommendation thing that has not been implemented in the lifespan, in the 25 years that they're ramping and looking for more. Okay? Second, a most rapid, functional, and permanent decrease in predator larceny and stray animal damage. And we have systems. Those are the areas, and those are the areas you have to sort out other people together and see what measures and strategies you have to put in place to get these things achieved, right? Thirdly, empowerment of organized farmers. empowerment of organized farmers, traders, value adders, transporters, and collective groupings. Empowerment of these people so that they could be represented at the decision-making session and be involved in national planning going forward and budgeting. And at the table, when we're using things like the commodity system assessment methodology tools, they're representatives then. With the same financiers and the other people and so on and the policymakers so that everybody knows exactly what everybody needs are and everybody knows where they have to put their emphasis and their efforts. Can't be anywhere else. Fourthly, a permanent halt to the use of prime agricultural land for non-agricultural activities, leading to a loss of land from the sector. That must take place. A permanent halt to the use of prime agricultural land for non-agricultural activities, which would lead to a loss of land from the sector. That has to take place. Fifth thing we need, investment by both local and foreign into the sector and financing of the sector on feasible terms. Six, construction of several miles of farm and feeder roads as soon as possible. Construction of several miles of farm feeder roads as soon as possible. And also construction of sorting, well, that will come with the foreign investment. Certain infrastructure, although the state should have a role in that. Like a soils lab to test our soils biologically and chemically. Now, as far as IMAN knowledge and information goes, funding has been provided for this for over 15 years now, and nothing much has been done. The building started at Camden Park, come here. Nothing. No farmer could say they get one sample of soil analyzed here and get it done properly. That is the kind of pressure that was on the, still is on the agricultural sector. When these vital facilities have been deliberately lacking. Okay, next area, the seventh. Establishment of a national central marketing system to bring order and justice to the marketing of agricultural produce. Okay, so the 8th point, empower the traditional ganja farmers in the manner recommended by the OECS, Eastern Caribbean Central Bank / Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Yes, they have made official presentations in that respect, which have not been heeded. Do that so that St. Vincent and Grenadines can share competitively in the regional cannabis market, which is assessed right now, annual market of more than $450 million a year. Some people say much more than that. Some people say it's much more than that. Some people have assessed it. US dollars I'm speaking about at a little more than that. But it's about, right? Let us use that figure. So that if we who have the capacity in this country, because the history is there, to produce the best tasting and the highest quality medicinal cannabis. Yes, not because a lot of the stuff they've produced in the last 4 or 5 years had not passed the test overseas. I'm talking about the traditional farmers who don't use fake inputs and non-biological inputs in the production system. We have the capacity to increase, to improve, and to gain at least 10% annually of this market. At least we could gain 10% at least of this market. Okay? Annually. And if this market is that, you're talking about 45 million US dollars, which when you work it out, comes over, you can see what multiply by 2.7 and see what you get, and you see how many, and you divide that by 52 and you see how many dollars you could make a week here easily, just using that basic figure. But we have much more to go. Plus the food that you will be making money from, because everybody I know, especially in this area up here, who plant cannabis, plant food, they've been doing that from traditional. So these are the same people you have to use along with others to reduce your food import bill. And that is what we're going to do going forward. To grow all the garlic and onion and Irish potato we need right here in this country. Because we don't work out the data, we don't work out the acreage needed. We know the technology, we do it already, we ain't doing it by guess. We know, we're just waiting on the time to get the right governance support, the right policy support, the right infrastructural support. And that is where we're going. Right? So what does the other side say in terms of giving some support to these things? What do they say? It says, the role of NDP government will therefore be to facilitate and support the local production, marketing processes that will advance the country's agriculture. You can't say more than that. What you have to do is to put it to the test. You put in the head out there to say that the role of an NDP government will therefore be to facilitate and support the local production and marketing processes that will advance the country's agriculture. And then they list the areas where the support will be in, right? Support will be in the areas of technology generation, technology development, and technology transfer for both production and marketing. Next, the promotion of an agricultural trust fund under the management and control of the farmers, agro-processors, marketers, and traders to ensure their access to credit and other resources to advance their production and marketing systems, and consequently those of the country as a whole. You know what that means? That means all these groupers here, all these things here, the farmers, the agro-processors, the marketers and traders, that include the vendors out, right? All these people have to organize themselves formally into groupings and choose their representatives from them, the leadership, to carry forward their requests, their collective requests in the assembly, where everybody now will be sitting and putting these things together to make a oneness develop the country. That is it. You're now involved in decision making. Right now, you're just taking orders. Yes. Taking orders. Some people taking orders. Some people taking vaccine of the orders. And some people taking bribe to the other three things. And you see what's happening. Because what you're taking is death and darkness. You got to come out of that. We have to come out of that. There's no two ways about that. Okay? The next point they're saying here now, to advance support, another area of support will provision of rural roads, bridges, and other infrastructure to advance the agricultural production and marketing system. Exactly. These are things that will come out of the same tool assessment. So when you say we have to produce 75 acres, just call it a figure, of this commodity a year to replace the importation, because the importation volume, when you divide it by the acreage, the yield per acre, the average yield per acre, you see so many acres you need to replace that. So when you look at the acres now, knowing that most of our areas are small farms in what we call ecosystem, different ecozones, and getting to a large number of farms is not one road, it's several pieces of road. So that infrastructure have to go in. Then you would know how many miles collectively of feeder roads you have to put in place to make sure that these farmers get to the land to produce these 75 acres. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And that is the kind of thing they're saying here. That is what they're going to do. And this is what we have to hold into, right? It says again, yes, I'm saying here now, it says again, the provision of incentives to the production and marketing sectors while respecting global international rules. Meaning to say, you're not subsidizing the farmer to gain a market advantage on other countries, but you're providing incentives to the production and marketing sectors within the framework of still respecting the global international rules. Yes. These are some of the things. Okay? And the key objectives: develop mechanisms that would support the sustainability of the banana sector in the global environment. I tell you right now here, we just catch Winnie in these areas here to be able to get a banana or a $5 banana. Because I don't sell less than that, so, or $3 banana 3-4 times a week. Because the supply just not there. And when you get the supply, it takes you 5 bananas to get the good part of 3, what we call 3, because the fruits they have these days, they're so full of soft, ripening so differently, the way they're grown, and the lack of organic substances in them, low nitrogen, low density, new nutrients, and too much water in the fruit. They rot quick. They have very little shelf life. All these things we have to correct. Okay? So they're going to do these things and improve the competitiveness of the agricultural commodities in the domestic and external markets. Okay? So there are lots of things here, the objectives. The thing is to provide a platform for food security program, Ensure that we are able to sustainably, substantially meet the food needs of the tourism sector in all its forms. So there again, you have a chance to link the agriculture with the tourism. Now we as a people, we have to make sure that we listen to these things and we with them and we watch no face. Because right now, it's who saying the things that are needed most and best. And giving them a chance who have not failed several times to do them, but giving them a chance to do them. Because other people have been saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's getting worse. Not that they even leveling up, it's been getting worse. That is where we are. It's been getting darker and darker and darker all the time. And you cannot keep going down that road. We are at the road where now we're getting 26 cents from every $1,000 that coming in this country. So where is the money going? Not that money isn't coming in the country, The GDP, basic economics, I'm going to give you, has been increasing annually. That is what it's supposed to do in every country. The share of it is what every sector has to be concerned about. So in this case, the agriculture and food sector share has been declining, decreasing rapidly, percentage-wise. And also, although the GDP has gone up total-wise. So right now, you're only making $156,000 a week in a whole big sector that made over $4 million a week a generation ago. Okay? That is where the potential is. A generation ago. No, we are right now, given all the facts of the market demands regionally, of our capacity to produce once we get those things that have been mentioned there, those things we need in place. We could easily, within a 5-year period, move from $156,000 a week to close to $10 million a week in the agriculture and food sector. Food including our fish. Why are all these bullets going off? Who firing all these bullets here? Lot of bullets going off within my ear. My hair in space. Hope it's not related to anything political. So you can't come and camp down and mess around. And I wouldn't tolerate that. Anyway, and we not encourage any more blood sacrifice in this country, especially at these times. No way, Jose. Yes. So, as I've been saying, here we go. With putting these things in place and making sure that they happen. So the economy now has been shifted away from providing wealth to the majority of people, which is what the system wants, to providing wealth to a few people. Yes, from providing wealth to the majority of people to providing wealth to a few people. That is where the economy has gone. And we do not want that. We need our economy to be providing wealth to as many people, local people as possible. And that could only come when you own collectively and individually some part of the economic activity, the wealth generated. That is not happening now. That is why the agricultural sector and the people who benefit from it mostly, right, are only making only have 26 cents out every $1,000 coming in here to share among themselves. And that is nothing to speak about. And the way things are going, if we give this darkness another chance to spread, by the time we come forward here, those of us who survive, it won't be 26 cents, it will be 6 cents out of every $1,000. And then is when dog eating cat and cat eating dog. Cat eating cat and dog eating dog. All that would happen. But it wouldn't, that could happen, but it wouldn't happen. Because this thing, this battle with this Armageddon we are in here now, good things don't happen spiritually, we just have to be revealed physically. So people have no fear. Put your mind and your energies in the pool of the right energy so you could benefit from it. Get into the right frequency so you could get into the harmony of what our ancestors spoke about. And once you get into the harmony, then you will see the light and you will be able to come out of Babylon going forward. Yes, we have to do that. We must do that. And while you are at it, clear your minds, clear your heavens, clear your thoughts, and then you will have dreams of brighter days because we're stepping out of Babylon.
These are the things I see right in front of me. As I open my eyes, oh, I give thanks for life. Oh, yes, Lord. As the days go by, yeah. Out comes the sun, shining on my face again. Grades get me high so I can meditate. Oh, dreams of brighter days. Highest grades we blaze. Dreams of brighter days. Giving thanks as the days goes by, giving thanks and praise. As I puff on my window and glance through my window, I realize there's no turning back. Got to complete life's journey, though things get contrary. Got to make it to the top. See, I'm searching for a way to survive. Working so hard, I know job will provide. See, I'm keeping my head high. Mama tell me the limit is the sky. Dreams of brighter days. Highest grades we blaze. Dreams of brighter days. Giving thanks. As the days goes by, giving thanks and praise. Burden heavy, but still a tread on. Weary, but no watch the screw face where we have on. Real soldiers keep standing. Now give up the fight. No. The sun will shine tomorrow. We shall see the rainbow, and I will never let go. No. Dreams of brighter days. Highest grades we blaze. Dreams of brighter days. Giving thanks. As the days goes by, giving thanks and praise. Out comes the sun, shining on my face again.
Yes, the sun shining in your face again. You want the sun to shine in your face again? Go out Thursday and do the right thing wherever you are in this land. Go out on Thursday and do the right thing. Step out of the darkness and give the light a chance to shine in this country. So we could have a fresh breath of air. Fresh breath of air come Thursday night, Friday morning. You know what it is. You know what it is. No stumbling block, okay? Until that time, when the words of I mouth and the meditation of I heart be humbly accepted in thy sight, O Jah, Rastafari. Stay strong, stay faithful, stay true, stay brave. Okay? Because the judgment done set. Just do what you have to do and do it right. Okay? Until next time, Exodus.